So in today's video, we're going to be discussing some unreleased vehicles that went missing in Greenville. And believe it or not, there are actually quite a few of these that for some reason were just never released. For some of them, we do know the reason why, but for others, we don't. Anyways, before we get into today's video, I would like to thank you guys so much for 21,000 subscribers. It is honestly insane. But yeah, we are now on the road to 20.1k subscribers, so make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It would be greatly appreciated. And also for those guys who may already be subscribed, if you haven't already, make sure to turn on notifications for the videos as well, so then you guys can stay up to date with all my future content. And on that note, for those of you guys who would like to stay up to date with all my future content and all of Greenville and Southwest Florida's update information, make sure to join my Discord server in the description below. But without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So starting off here at number 1, we have the fictional Toyota Supra. Now, this thing was actually never spotted in game from my knowledge, and I honestly have no idea if it was even fully finished. As you guys can see by this image right here, Ivy actually posted a comparison of the old fictional Supra and the new fictional Supra on her story. Obviously, neither of these were ever released for whatever reason. However, I have a theory, and that was likely that both of these vehicles got a lot of backlash from the community, primarily because a lot of people thought they looked ugly, which I mean, I could definitely see why people thought that, but in my opinion, they weren't really ugly enough to just not be released whatsoever, especially with there being two totally different appearing versions. They could have easily just released both and let people pick which ones they want to drive around in. And I mean, there's a high chance that these will eventually be released, but yeah, for whatever reason, so far, they haven't been. Secondly is actually a relatively recent one. I think this one's only a couple months old or so, but this is actually the fictional Audi Q8. And from my knowledge, only a few images of this were ever taken, as I don't think it was really driven around in game much. But as you guys can see, it actually looks like a pretty good SUV. And once again, I don't really know why this thing was never added. Literally, the only reasonable explanation I could come up with is maybe they decided that it looks a little bit too close to the real one in some aspects and they might want to remodel it a bit. But even then, I don't really think that would have been that much of a big deal. However, it's really never been that uncommon of Greenville to show off these cars and then not release them for like months later. So I mean, it could get released next update even, who honestly knows. It is almost reaching a few months since this thing was announced, so I guess we'll see as time goes on. Next up is actually a very cool one that unfortunately we will never get, as this is actually the cancelled BMW M2. So no, this thing was not fictional whatsoever. This was actually a real model, but unfortunately it was modeled right after Greenville officially switched to only using fictional cars, which is obviously extremely bad timing, and it really sucks to be honest, since this would have been an awesome car to drive around in, and it looks like a lot of effort was put into it as well. So yeah, once again, it's very unfortunate. A similar situation actually happened with the remodeled Dodge Charger, which I'm driving a trim of that right now, as this thing was actually remodeled also right before they switched to only fictional cars, but it was actually recently remodeled into this current model, since Dodge hasn't actually officially been removed from the game yet, and they figured since they have it lying around, they may as well just release it. As for BMW, unfortunately, as we all know, that was completely removed, so there is no chance of that ever coming, which is super sad. Next up is actually one that is relatively recent. I mean, this car isn't necessarily missing, as we know exactly what happened to it, but this is actually the fictional Ferrari. Now, I'm pretty sure this was actually the first ever fictional Ferrari that we got, and as we all know, when Ferrari did get DMCA'd in Greenville recently, obviously all the real Ferraris are removed, but also sadly this one was bundled alongside all of those, and the main reason why that happened was because that for whatever reason Ferrari viewed it as a sort of like modified version of a real Ferrari, which to a degree I can see how that may be the case, but honestly I feel like it was a bit of a stretch from their side, as it doesn't really heavily resemble any Ferrari in my personal opinion, and it does look very fictional to me, but we all know how Ferrari acts with that sort of stuff, so unfortunately there wasn't anything Greenville could do about it at the end of the day, and sadly we no longer have it in game. Next up, we actually have a very cool one, as this is the unreleased Rolls-Royce Spectre. Now once again, like the cancelled M2, this was actually a real car, so this was not fictional whatsoever. Just like the BMW can't be added since they don't add real cars to the game anymore, same situation applies for this Rolls-Royce, unfortunately. Now thankfully, as of recent, this thing was completely remodeled to be fictional, and thankfully as well, it doesn't look too different from what the real model looked like, so it's definitely good that we have gotten this back at least in some form, but it's still sad that we could have had the real one as well. And then lastly, in my opinion, is probably one of the saddest ones, as this is actually the Lexus LFA Nürburgring edition, and as you guys can see, this thing looked like an absolute beast, and obviously we did actually get the remodeled LFA in game before Lexus was completely removed, sadly, but we never got this trim alongside it, and I'm pretty sure it was actually going to be some sort of like limited trim of the vehicle or whatever. So yeah, once again, it does suck that this thing wasn't able to get added. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, once again, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as we are on the road to 21.1k subscribers, so it would be greatly appreciated. And for those guys who would like to join my Discord server, that is in the description below, for those guys who would like to stay up to date with all my future content and all of Southwest Florida and Greenville's update information. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If I missed any cars in this video, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.